Hello, guys. Welcome. It's a new day with Stanley and Renee. Hey, fall is coming, y'all. The weather's changing. Our topic today is it's not what you think. And I want to give you a definition of perception, okay? Perception, a way of regarding or understanding or interpreting something. So that's what our topic is going to be today. And unfortunately, I'm going to be a guinea pig.
And I get to take the lead on this one today for sure. Welcome. I'm Renee Flake. And of course, it's my husband, Stanley Flake. And the topic of perception came to mind. And I was trying to think of some things. And a lot of times we try to come together and come up with an idea of what we want to share with you. And so perception popped up. And perception, as he said, it's a way of regarding, understanding, or interpreting something. Okay. I have been a health educator for many years, and this is a topic that I've used in my anger management class. And what it is that, sometimes when someone says something and we're trying to interpret it, it may not be what we think it is or what they're trying to say is what I wanted to say. So we're going to be talking about perception, and I'm going to be taking Stan through a few little exercises, not a whole lot, but to kind of, just to shed some light on some examples of what we're going to do and what we're going to cover today. Okay. Perception includes our five senses, which is what? Touch, sight, sound, smell, and taste. So it's so important to know that all of our senses help us with interpreting things, what someone said or an experience that you had, an event that happened, even a thought that came to your mind. It helps us in interpreting what we need to when we interact with others. So we're going to start with the exercise with Stan, and I've got a picture I'm going to show him, but I'm going to try and show you guys these two pictures as we go along after he's seen them, because this is the first time that he's actually seen the pictures, because I wanted a real reaction. Okay. Wow. So here we go. Let me show him the first picture. Okay. And you just tell me what you see. Tell me what you see and the thought that comes to your mind. So this is the first one.
Goodness.
What do you see?
Lord. It looks like I know woman.
Okay. What else about it?
She looks like she's wearing some feathers.
Okay.
Like a coat.
Okay.
On her head. Ooh. It looks like a bird.
So it's okay. So that's what you're seeing.
A bird, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Does that bring back any memory or just a thought? The picture itself, and it doesn't have to.
No memories. I'm just trying to figure out what it is.
Okay, so what it is I have what we call an optical illusion. Some of you may be familiar with them, where you have two pictures actually incorporated in one picture, and you get to look at it to determine what you see. You only see one picture. Did you see the other picture that's within there?
Wow. Ooh.
And if you don't, it's okay.
I don't see nothing else.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to try and show it. I may cover my face briefly, but this is the picture. I'm sorry.
Lift it up higher.
Do I need to lift up higher?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the picture that I was showing Stan. I think I'm knocking some of our light off. So
it's okay.
I am so sorry about that. But he sees a young lady in the picture, which is here. I can't.
It's right here.
Point to it for me. Thank you, sir. But actually, there are two pictures of a lady.
Oh.
So you see the young lady. So you point to the one you saw, Stan.
Right here.
Okay. Now, if you really take another look, the part that looks like the young lady's chin is actually the nose of an older woman. So there's an older woman.
What?
You see an old woman in there? Anybody? Our audience. Let me show it to Stan, because he's looking. See, there's her nose. There's her mouth. This is an older woman.
A nose and a mouth.
See?
Oh my God.
You see it now?
Okay.
You see it now?
I do now.
There's her eye. That's her hair.
Okay.
So, sometimes what happens with these optical illusions is that you're looking at something and you're like, okay, I only saw one thing, or I didn't really see that. So sometimes people look at them and they say, I don't see anything. And it may be that they're not focusing, they're distracted, those kinds of things. But if you take your time, and sometimes you just have to be patient If you're not patient enough, you may not be able to see both, or you may not be able to be able to see either one of those. So that's a part of our sight. When it comes to our sight or our vision, it's the primary human sense that we have out of all of the five. It's the primary because we look around, we see birds, maybe if you're taking a walk, or if you're at work, you're looking at your report. So different things. And so vision is a way that we perceive things as well, right? So the next one that we're gonna I'm sorry, let me backtrack. I told you I had one more picture I was gonna show you.
No.
Let me go back. Okay, here's the second picture.
Okay.
What do you see?
Oh, it is a woman. It's a woman.
Okay, you see a woman.
And I see like she has her back turned.
Okay. You see anything else?
Well.
And if you don't, that's okay.
That's all I see for right now, but I'm quite sure you'll find it.
So that's his thought. Okay. Well, I've looked at these. I was the one that got them.
Okay.
So, of course, I'm going to know what they are. Okay. So if I hold it up again, okay, and I'm trying not to, I pull it towards me.
Yeah. You
can see the woman. Can you point to the woman for them, Stan?
This is the woman, and this is like her back is turned, and I think that's her hair.
Okay. And so it's also a picture of trees.
Yeah, it is trees, but I didn't want to.
Yeah, so you saw both of them then. So they're trees, right?
I think I was more pinpointing the image. Never mind.
So it goes back to perception. What am I seeing? What am I understanding? What am I picking up? So the next thing would be touch. Okay. We're going to go over touch. So if I'm just going to let you imagine this one, Stan. If you touched a hot stove, what would be the first thing in your mind?
Automatically pain.
Well, that would be a perception from your senses with what you felt.
Yeah.
And then, but what would be the first thought?
That it's hot.
Okay. So, and then in turn, you pull your hand away, right?
Yeah.
So that was your first thought that it's hot. Have you ever had an incident that happened before like that you got burned or anything?
Oh yeah, many times, especially on jobs that I had.
Any particular one that you would remember?
In culinary school. When I had to let the oven down to take a cake out and got burned on the arm, that didn't feel good. Okay.
So that goes back to, we have a thought about something and we may have a memory of it. Because the thing about perceptions that I want to touch on is that perception is not necessarily reality. Okay. We perceive something and it's usually based on our life experiences, which goes back to the memories, or it connects to thoughts that maybe it might be a flashback for someone if they've had a bad experience. So it's like those perceptions that we get, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's real. And I'll touch a little bit more about reality. Okay, I'll lean back this way. Yes. I'll touch a little bit more on reality in that trying to think that truth, which is reality, is different from perception, which is how we perceive what's happening. Okay. Reality is not a perception, but perception can be considered a reality. And I'm probably confusing everybody at this point, but just think about it. If you know of a person that's diagnosed with schizophrenia, maybe they have visual hallucinations, or they may have audio hallucinations. So in their mind, it's a real life experience because they feel like they're actually experiencing it, which really is just a perception. It is not actually reality. So, that's what I say. The mind works in so many different ways. And people that have schizophrenia are people who have a chemical imbalance in their brain. So a lot of mental health illnesses, as we know, are the same as having a medical or physical issue. Okay. So it goes back to interpretation. Let me back that up. Interpretation again. So it may be happening. It may not be happening. You may not be able to relate to that. Somebody may have had a person who had a high fever, whether it's a child or adult family member, and they're hallucinating. To them, that's a reality, but that's what their perception is. But actually, what they're seeing or what they think they're seeing isn't actually there. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Smell.
Here we go.
So I'm gonna have him to smell. Look, we're going to do some unusual things. But I'm trying to make a point here. He's gonna smell this giant candle that I have. Okay, you will let him do that. Hold it up and smell it, and tell me your first thought. What do you think? What's it smell like to you?
It smells woodsy.
Woodsy. Okay.
And then it has a feminine kind of perfume smell.
Okay. So if you look at the candle, what does it say?
It says jasmine blossom.
So it's a smell of jasmine that you were smelling, right? Did that bring back any memories or thoughts other when you smelled it?
Ooh, jasmine. A feel of jasmine.
Okay.
Actually standing in the field when I was.
Really?
Of jasmine.
Okay. So there we go again. There's that interpretation, right? Okay. So what I want to touch on next is the fact that things can influence our perception, and I started talking about that a little bit. Let me lean back in. Started talking about that a little bit a moment ago. In that, as far as our perceptions, we're influenced by our environment. It could be the way that we grew up, because I work with people who have grown up in abusive households and things like that. And so environment shapes your perception. Your beliefs shape your perception. Okay. And experiences, life experiences. Okay. Let's see. So when I thought about that, I just had another thought to come up real quick. What I often use when I do like an anger management group, education group, I'll talk about perception and start out with that before we start going into the basic main things about anger management. And so what I'll do is I'll give the guys an example, because it's usually the males that I do sessions with, men that I do sessions with a lot. And so I was saying to them one day, I said, so for example, if for some reason you happen to just walk in the door and you see your mom, she's on the floor and there's a man standing over her, what would you think was happening? And they were like, oh, I would get mad because he probably pushed her down or he knocked her down or whatever. And so we would step back and discuss that, because even though that's what it looks like, it may not have been that. I mean, maybe, it had happened to them in their past, that they seen their mother abused or whatever. And it just brought that thought and that memory. But it could actually just be that maybe their mother fell and the person was reaching down to help pick her up and assist her. So, things may not always be the way that we think they are. So it still touches on perception. Perception is how we view it. What are we getting from what we're seeing or what we're hearing or what we're smelling? I can remember years ago too that I visited it was a Alzheimer's or dementia unit in a nursing home, and there was the smell of bread. Oh my gosh, the smell of bread out throughout that whole facility. Oh, it smells so good. And here I am looking for bread. And come to find out is that what the director had decided to do at that particular facility was that since a lot of their residents wouldn't eat or their appetite wasn't good, they knew the smell of bread would, one of them increase their desire to eat. Okay. So they had this machine that was kind of like, the giant deodorizers that shift that sends scents out into the air, and that's what they were doing. I didn't realize that. I thought somebody was baking bread. So interpretations. Here we go with that again, right? Let's see. So let's go to my next section here. Okay, we're moving right along today. I might be going a little too fast today, but we're moving right along. Am I going too fast?
A little.
Okay, let me slow it down a little bit. Okay, let me slow it down. Okay. So, Stan, can you think of a time when you were in a situation, something happened, and you perceived that one thing was happening, but it was actually another thing? Did that ever?
Oh, yeah. I mean, situation of school settings,
okay,
like in high school, teenagers be laughing or giggling, and you think they might be laughing at you, but they really just talking amongst themselves. But that comes with a part of who you are,
right?
With
right.
insecurity and a paranoia, you know, where you like, God, are they talking about me?
Yes.
You know, especially if it's a group of girls. I'm like, God, you know, when they giggle or whatever, I'm like, what is that about? You know, yeah. But they could just be talking amongst themselves, not even thinking about you.
Yes, and I've heard a lot of people say that that happens with them a lot, that they think that someone's laughing or making fun of them or talking about them, and then they realize that it really wasn't happening. They just thought that it was.
Right. Yeah.
Anything at work that you can recall that ever happened?
Not at the point right now, but I'm trying to think of something maybe in the past. When a person was looking for their phone and they thought somebody stole it. And not even realizing that they had it in their desk drawer.
Okay.
You know, they're like, somebody stole my phone. Who stole my? And you know, this going freaking out. You know, and I'm like, where did you lay it? Where did you put it down last? You know, I know somebody stole my phone because somebody stole it before. You know, I'm like, well, you know, maybe you need to look around. You know, and after the fact, I said, look around your work area.
Right.
And then when they looked around and pulled out the drawer, they're like, oh my God, there it is.
And it could be that somebody stole something from them, and they were trust issues. Yeah. So it's so important that when anything happens, an event or a memory comes when you're interacting with someone, to think about, you know, is this my perception or is this reality? You know, is it really happening? So we know reality is the truth. It's the observable truth that we can see, right? But so many other things come to mind and can influence us one way or another when it comes to what's happening and how we interpret it. Okay. Let's see what I want to share here. I'm trying to think of some things myself that I've.
What about that word game? You remember how you just said you tell one person one thing, and at the end of the line,
oh yes, oh my gosh! Good evening, good evening.
Hey, good evening.
Saying good evening to everyone. We used to play that. You know, we used to do that. You know, as a game, and sometimes it's been used as like an icebreaker or a group event where you whisper. And I know what he's talking about. You know, you might have 10 people, 15 people sitting together in a circle. And one person starts with, let's say, it looks so cloudy outside. I think I need an umbrella. Right. But by the end of it, you have to go through 15 people. By the end of it, it's like, it's cloudy outside. It's totally turned around.
And I forgot my umbrella.
So, you know, it's just, I think that's interesting. And it's fun to do because it gets people to really think about, you know, are we hearing it? With our are we hearing what they're saying? Are we understanding? How are we interpreting it? You know, so that goes back to that too. That's a good point. But I'm telling you, that is a crazy game. I enjoyed it. So much fun. Let's see what else about perceptions.
Oh man. I know it can be very dangerous though in some ways too.
Because
they have broken up friendships.
They
have broken up families. It has destroyed companies. You know, because of something that they heard but not fully getting the full meaning of what they heard.
Or even something that you see. Because sometimes, you know, as spouses or when you're in a relationship, if you see another man or woman talking to your spouse or whoever you're in a relationship with, and you think they're a little too close, so maybe they're laughing and it's just nothing, it's something innocent, I'll put it that way. And that could be interpreted as maybe that person's having a relationship with them. Maybe it's a lot more to it than I'm thinking is going on. And so sometimes we can take thoughts and just run with them.
And that happens a lot with even newlyweds.
You know,
when they're young and You know, if they walk up on their man or whatever, and he's hugging a girl, you know, and then his wife walks up like, okay, what's the dealio? You know, why is you hugging that female or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And then he's just like, you know, no, it's not what you think it is.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and she could take that and run with it, you know, and that can come through situations of insecurity within herself.
Right.
She might have seen that in her past relationships.
Right, where she was disrespected.
She was disrespected like that, and not even realizing that, you know, that was just an innocent hug.
Right.
Not even realizing that this person might have been going through an emotional time in their life.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's giving her some kind of, I guess, you know, an embrace to let her know it's going to be okay. You know, that can be misinterpreted.
Yeah, and they use that in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of romantic comedies and different things like that. You'll see it, and usually it may have been the person's sister, cousin, something, and you know, and they misinterpreted that hug. You know, it was a relative. It was a friend that they were very close to, or something like that. So the way our eyes and the way we view or process, you know, a lot it still goes back to your past experiences. I can remember one time I was out in a community, and I spoke to this man. You know how a lot of times you just say hello and kind of keep it moving, and he didn't even respond or anything. And sometimes we think maybe people are just being rude or something like that, but they may, you know, the person probably had a lot on their minds. You know, a lot of times when people have things on their minds, we may perceive it as that they don't want to be bothered with us, or they're not listening to me, they don't hear me, things of that, you know, of that particular nature, when really it's just that people are going through stuff, especially now, with all the things that are going around and happening in the world. We may think that person is just being rude or doesn't care or whatever, but it's because their mind is probably on so many different things with all the things that are happening in the world, people losing loved ones or losing jobs or having to move or different changes. So they have a lot of things on their mind. It really has nothing to do with us, but sometimes we just assume that it does, or that people, going back to the thing about people laughing, or you thinking sometimes, you know, with that, even that can ties into your self-esteem. Right. That if you don't feel good about yourself, then you're feeling that, you know, that person's making fun of me, or they're talking about the way I dress, the way I look, because of past experience, you know, bullying, because you know how bullying has been a part of just the social life or the connections at school and different places. Even in the workplace, bullying can take place too. It's not just schools, but we reflect on those past experiences, those things, and it shapes us, even when it comes to relating to others that are different cultures. You know, a lot of times and I'm going to step back, not say we, a lot of times, sometimes, well, let's back it up. Sometimes people think, and they think in the mindset of stereotypes, right? You know, and so we have to be mindful of that we're aware of, analyzing ourselves. Is this something that from a bad experience that you had with someone of another culture, you know, that was negative and it really was traumatic? That shapes other things and how we interact with others, whether it's at school, at work, in the community. So just being mindful that perception can
confuse you.
Yeah, can confuse you. And like you were saying before, cause a lot of conflicts and a lot of problems. So it's so important with perception, which connects to communication, right? That we need to work on, because if we're in a situation and our perception isn't quite right, then we need to say something like, I didn't understand, or what did you mean? You know what I'm saying? Because you want to make sure that you're getting to the truth, or what the actual message is, right? And not just working or coming from the place of your hurts or traumas or past experiences or things that were negative that we can kind of sometimes tie in with other things, right?
Right.
Okay. With perceptions, was there something else you were going to say?
So I'm.
What you think? You think of something else?
Well, I know that a lot of people get the wrong misinterpretation of what they hear.
Mm-hmm.
So how do it begin within oneself to get over that sort of situation? I mean, I know it's really caused by our past.
It can be caused by past
Yeah,
experiences.
and so would that require some counseling?
Well, it might. It just depends on how deep
Okay.
and how traumatic the event was.
Yeah. Because I mean, you can hear that seeing situations of something really deeply rooted, like rape victims.
Right.
People that has been abused from their childhood,
Mm-hmm.
and it carries all the way up to the adulthood.
Yes.
So that would, to me, require that you need some counseling.
Right. It would be beneficial to do counseling
Yeah,
if it's something as severe as that.
You know, if that can turn out to be something more severe when you continue to walk into that arena and that kind of thought mindset,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
and not address it.
Yeah, not address it, because you know you can become automatically paranoid at all times.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's not normal.
Right. And a lot of people, I think we touched on this on the first one about post-traumatic stress disorder, a little bit on that, about how when things happen to us, and even think about military. You know how many people in the military have gone through a lot of traumatic events and have to navigate and work through a lot of things that have happened, things that they've seen that we don't know, we may never see, that they see that are just so detrimental to them, and messes with their mind to such a degree that they're having flashbacks. Like, you know, if they heard a car back, you know, the sound of a car, it might remind them of being out in the field and gunfire or different things. So yes, anytime it's a severe thing that happens when you're perceiving things, then it's so important that you do get the help that you need, whether it's a therapist or some people, you know, may want to do a religious counselor as well. You know, if that's their preference, they prefer to do a licensed and experienced counselor that is that can, you know, connect with their faith and kind of help them with navigating it too. So, but perceptions, I mean, it's just every single day, you know, we have an opportunity to look at a situation and think, is this my perception? Or is this what's really happening? Is this what, you know, am I thinking that this is happening and it's really not happening? You know, so it's so important.
Yeah, that also can occur. I experienced that recently, you know, when my brother transitioned, when he passed. You know, when that, you know, I had to really sort of figure that, is that for real?
Yeah.
You know, you know, because it was I think it was a timing thing also. I know for us, because it happened suddenly, because I just lost an older brother last year.
Right.
But the news of my last brother came in like a couple of weeks ago. It felt like, is this happening? In my mind, it felt like, is this for real?
Right.
You know, I kept asking and telling my sister, are you for real? You know, is this, are you, you know, it was just too much to believe in my mind. It just went into a shock.
Right.
And so some of those things, you know, even the day of the funeral, it still felt like a dream. You know, even with my mother's funeral, it felt like a dream. Like, is this happening? You know, that kind of situation, that's sort of like, you really have to get grief counseling for stuff like that, because that can really, you know, that can really put a hold on your life. You know, it makes you feel like you got to stand still, that you just can't move. But you have to get counseling even for something really deep psychologically like that, because it will affect your life. You know, I got to go through some counseling. You know, I got to go.
And it's helpful. It's helpful to be able to sit down with somebody that you trust, that you can process some things with, to be able to move forward, because it a lot of things in our lives, like we were saying before, that it affects your perception. You know, there may be a particular person that for some reason you just don't like that person. You don't like them. You can't figure out, why is it I don't like that person? And it's possible that they're a reminder of someone that you didn't like before. It might be their mannerisms or different things that they do that you perceive them as similar to that same person that you had that experience with. So it can affect not only relationships with, you know, with people at work. It can affect relationships all around, period. You know. And then we talked about trust issues in the past with other things. That really is a matter of perception, especially if you've had people that either you confided in them and told them things that you asked them not to tell anyone else, and they've done that. Then, you know, sometimes our perception would be, we think everybody's that way. And when I was reading this article here, it's called 8 Ways Your Perception of Reality is Skewed. It talks about things that seem true and universal are often just our own unique experience of the world. It's not that it happens to everybody. You know, sometimes people think, you know, this happens to everybody, or they think it just happens to me. Right. You know, depending on how their perception is in the situation. So we gotta be mindful that, going back to perception is not reality. Right. Perception is not reality, and some things can affect our abilities to be able to perceive and understand and interpret. You know, it could be that you're tired. Hello. Sometimes when we're tired, we're not able to interpret, understand, or
yeah. And then you have to really be verbal, especially if you're a couple. You got to be verbal on a situation like that. You know, especially if your wife want to talk to you about something, and you know it's going to be a lengthy conversation. So that's the time for you, like, babe, you know, let me get myself together, because I just came in from the door, and I need some me time. Right. Where I can just wind down. So could you give me about an hour or two?
If you're tired.
Where I can just detox.
Right.
You know, and then I can get some clearance and have, you know, my ear for you to tell me what you want to tell me. Right. You know, so I don't want to hurt your feelings, but, you know, and you have to verbal that to the individual, because if you talk to somebody and they've been working like a dog and they come in and you're like, I need to talk to you. They're like, oh my time is God.
That is not a good time.
Because the talk might end up being a fight or argument or a disagreement, because you're already tired, therefore you're gonna be grumpy. You know, no sleep, you're gonna be grumpy.
Yeah, so that makes it harder for us to be able to perceive, understand, interpret, you know, if we're tired and we're exhausted and we don't even have the energy to do it. That energy level, right?
Exactly.
But I was thinking about, sometimes even as we talk, sometimes we perceive, our perception of when we're talking to each other, we kind of Well, we're not on the same page. We're not. Great minds think like it's not working at that moment, right?
It actually happened a couple hours ago. And we saying the same thing.
Exactly.
We both saying the same thing.
So it goes back to really listening and understanding. So make sure you're getting the actual message, and you're not thinking something way off and a lot of times that's what we'll say. It's like, well, we're saying the same thing. Duh.
Yeah. I might have a way of saying it in a country kind of way or whatever, because I'm just silly, you know, and she just so, you know, with her education, and I can even misinterpret. I'm like, what you say? You know, I'm like, oh my God, what are you talking about? And we kind of find out we're saying the same thing. Right.
So yeah, that's still connected to the communication part. Yeah. Sometimes if you don't understand, you're not perceiving, you're not understanding, and you're not able to interpret, ask questions.
Yeah.
You know.
And just say, I don't understand.
Right.
You know, say, I don't understand.
Yeah, because that can happen.
Yeah. And make sure you don't have no distractions like loud music, TVs and all of that. You trying to talk to each other and you're like, well, I don't understand, because you might be hearing something from the TV.
Yeah.
and it could be all that noise pollution. Just cut everything off and say, look, I don't understand because it's just too noisy in here. For one, and secondly, I'm tired. And so therefore, if I'm fatigued, I'm gonna hear any kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because Renee can talk to me about 4 or 5 different subjects. And she could go like, didn't you hear what I said? I say, well, what subject? Oh, I'm sorry.
Come on back, sir. Come on back.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying?
But that made me think about too, the going back to things that we hear. I noticed that sometimes when I listen to the radio, and maybe it's a news segment, all of a sudden I may hear the sound of a siren, and I'm thinking it's behind me.
And it's in the radio.
And it's on the radio. So during the news segment, that it's in the background. I'm thinking, okay, so that's where that's coming from. Because sometimes you hear things and you're not sure exactly if it's something happening. I'm thinking maybe there's an ambulance coming up behind me, or so you got to look and see, assess the situation and see, is this perception or is this reality? So it was perception that day. There was not an ambulance behind me. So
thank God.
Yeah. Or for some people it might be in a car, police pulling you over because you were speeding. In that case, it was not on the radio.
Yeah, and
you can look in your rearview mirror and see that it's reality.
Because
right?
you got a lot of tickets you didn't pay off.
So that's something to think about, right? Okay.
Yeah, they coming after you. You didn't pay your other tickets off.
Being hungry.
Oh, well.
Being hungry can affect you perceiving, interpreting, understanding whatever's going on in whatever situation you're in or what event is happening. So being hungry can affect, because when you're hungry, what happens to you when you're hungry?
Your blood sugar drops.
Well,
and then it causes fatigueness.
And you can't focus. You just want to eat.
Yeah.
You just want to eat, right?
Yeah. And that's another way of saying, can we talk after we eat?
Well, yeah.
Can we do that, please?
It could be. It could be. Right.
Because I ain't had nothing to eat today.
I'm trying to think too if I've ever had something, perception at work. I think I have, because one time I thought that the person, one of my coworkers, I thought that she really didn't want to help me do something that particular day. Sometimes we think that somebody doesn't want to help us do something. This is how I was interpreting it, but she just wasn't feeling well. Sometimes we don't think about things like that. We're looking and we're thinking, wow, what's going on here? I'm doing all the work. What's happening? Yeah. But sometimes people are sick and we misinterpret that. They're not feeling well. They're not being lazy that day. It's just that they're just not feeling well. Yeah. So we can often misinterpret things and think one way that and it's not the right way. So I always try to stand back and just assess and really get the facts. I remember when I was in school, one of my professors would always say, always get your facts first. Get your facts first and then go from there. Because if we don't have the facts, then we're going on just the thought or perception. Yeah. And it may not be a good thing. It may be a bad thing that happens as a result of that. So we just have to make sure that we're aware of things that we're just thinking it's a thought, but it's not a reality. Yeah.
Well, something came to my mind, but I'm going to see it.
What you say?
I think some of our laws, some of our law protectors, police officers, they get a misperception.
Okay.
We're going through that now. Everybody knows it's real. It's out here. About situations, like one job, a friend of mine told me that, they don't allow anybody to wear hoodies,
Okay.
black
Okay.
hoodies
Okay.
on their job. Situations that may
Be misinterpreted.
of why innocent people, get killed.
And that shouldn't happen.
And it shouldn't be that way,
No,
but
it shouldn't. It
it
really
happens.
shouldn't. Yeah.
Because of the mentality of some of the law officers. I ain't saying all, but some.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the reoccurrence of all our black men and women that are innocently dying.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these officers, I feel, need to be psychologically evaluated before they even try to hire them. But it's just misinterpretations. I mean, if you see it all the time in the news, where he was walking in my neighborhood, he had on a black hoodie.
Yeah.
And
that is a issue of not being educated. Because I mean, a lot of times, we really need to address diversity issues. And that's something that that I'm hoping will be something that a lot of places will consider. Let's look at embracing, celebrating just every culture that's within our office environment or something like that.
I said, if you really want to know somebody's culture, I said that you need to fellowship with them, get to know that person. I mean, if attending mosque, what I'm saying.
The mosque,
attending mosque, whatever
the mass,
or the
Catholic,
Catholic, like one of my friends, he's Jewish, and I attended a service with him and his family, like when I was a teenager, and they invited me to their house, and and I was eating dishes that I can't pronounce, but that was their culture,
right, and
to sit and listen to his parents, and that day his grandparents was there, and so to listen to the history, it was phenomenal, and the things that you really might realize, some of it we might have in common,
you
really might have in common, just to know their history, to sit there at the table and they teach you their culture. So this is why it's good at times. This is if you know somebody that's a good friend or whatever, or you feel comfortable asking somebody about their culture. Right.
Yeah. And sometimes too, when you said that, that made me think back about it's been maybe a year or two, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, that I had gone into a convenience store, and I had bought some items, and I was at the register, and this Caucasian gentleman just walked up closer to where I was, and I was like, why is he doing that? I just didn't know what was going on, but what was amazing, he just wanted to do, pay it forward, an act of kindness. And he said, you know what? He said, I want to bless you today. I'm paying for your stuff. Everything you bought today. I bought $20 worth of stuff that day, and he paid. And I said, thank you so much. And then we stepped outside. He said, I just want to bless you. I said, I understand that, because that's what I like to do. I like to help others and be a blessing to others. So, I could have been alarmed or caught an attitude, but I was trying to assess to get a good understanding of what was going on. And it was something good that was happening. And sometimes good things are lurking around. I don't want to say lurking. I don't want to say lurking around, but good things are coming your way, and we miss them because of what we think is going on, what we're thinking is going on, or assuming that was going on. So I was like, well, he was just showing kindness as a spiritual brother, and I thought that was awesome, because a lot of times you don't know how people are going to respond to you sometimes because of the way the world is. And I'm just being honest about that. You really don't know. And it was such a blessing. I said, thank you so much. And I said, and I said, God bless you. You're really going to be some good things that come your way as well. But our perceptions can keep us from moving forward in life and
missing out on blessings.
Yeah, that's true. So it's so important that we we just kind of start thinking about it. You know, are there things I need to improve? What can I improve when it comes to, you know, the way that I interact with others or how I respond? Because what happens with perceptions is you can see people's attitude change if they're not fully understanding and interpreting correctly.
Yeah.
You can see people get upset. You can see them become angry.
Right.
And they're because evidently they didn't interpret what was going on correctly. So you know, we need to take self-inventory. I'm trying to say that's what I'm looking for, the words. Take self-inventory and say, see what are some of the things that affect the way that I perceive things that happen to me, or how I perceive what others do around me, or how they interact with me. What's happening? Is there something that I can improve upon so that when I come in contact with someone, that these maybe negative influences or bad experiences or things that have shaped us into who we are today doesn't affect us moving forward and having positive experiences with other people, whether it's in the grocery store, whether it's at work, or whether it's at home, or where it might be.
Yeah.
What was that?
Don't get the wrong perception. That was your phone.
That was my phone. I'm sorry about it. What is it? I don't understand that. It's got the
Siri.
It's got the, well, I don't know. The name is another name.
Well, that's what it was.
That was kind of ironic, but timely, wasn't it? I don't understand that.
Oh, wow. But
I never had anything like that happen before.
I thought it was God. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
When you thought it was God.
I'm like, he's talking about, I don't understand that. I'm like, oh, Lord, time to go. But yeah, I just like in a situation, I'm not giving this person name, but it's always this lady that at this particular gas station, you know, and she was always like, you know, when you pay for your gas, you're like, yeah, there's always something grown and grumpy, you know, and a lot of people, when they see her, and I heard people like, you better be careful, she's mean, you know, she's really mean, and not even realizing you don't know what she's going through.
Right.
And so maybe nobody's showing some words of encouragement or kindness.
Right.
Or concern.
Right.
For the individual. So one day, you know, when I gave her my money for my gas, you know, I said, well, you have a great day. I said, oh God, your hair looks so nice. And she's like, oh. So nobody gave her a compliment, but I told her, I said, your hair looks so nice today. And she's like, she didn't know what to say. So the next go around when I came in to get some gas, you know, I said, I need you know, whatever amount on pump whatever.
Yeah, pump number something.
Yeah, and she said, hey, how you doing? I said, fine, how are you? And she was smiling. And actually had a conversation with me because I gave her a compliment.
Right.
You know, to make her feel good and make her feel like, you know, I'm just here behind this glass, you know, doing this register. Yeah. And I'm getting tired of it, or I had a bad day, but you don't know what. She might have had a bad day.
Right.
But don't never assume something.
Right.
You know, to break that, sometimes maybe she was waiting for a kind word.
That's true.
You know, affirmation.
Affirmation or something.
Yeah. And so, you know, I said, your hair was so nice today. And she's like, what?
And it makes a difference. Kindness. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's really the key.
Kindness, showing people kindness.
Yeah, and it don't cost you nothing.
Yeah.
You know, it don't cost you nothing to be kind. You know, and so sometimes, you know, even to be kind can break that within that person of the insecurity. Right. You know, or the paranoia of the wrong thing they might hear or see or think. You know, because you know, you don't know what they went through before they got to work. They might have had some bad conversation or a bad day before they even got to work, and so they carried it with them.
That's true.
And so therefore, everybody, I don't want to talk to nobody.
Right.
You know, have that kind of shield to go up. You know, And it could be just one word that you can give a word of kindness to break all that.
Yes, that's true.
That's
true.
Break it up. Perception.
Mm-hmm.
And
something to think about.
Yeah, the kids go through it every day. The wrong things that they hear, or especially when their teacher gives them assignments, and they're not paying attention because they're distracted by something else, and then they bring in an assignment that they assume the teacher said, and she said, that's an F because I didn't tell you to do that.
Yeah. But they thought they were
doing the right thing.
Yeah.
But they was too busy talking to Susie or Shaquana, whoever, and missed the assignment at that particular time when she was speaking. Because some teachers ain't gonna repeat themselves. They're gonna give it to you right then and there, and they're not gonna repeat themselves. So if you were there talking and goofing off, you're gonna miss it.
Our teachers will always write on the board.
Yeah, but
we had to write it down.
Yeah. But in college, I don't know about my instructor in college, they didn't.
In college, they're not going to do that.
They're not going to do that.
No, but like elementary, middle, and high school, they tend to, they would do that. But college, you got to be more mature.
Oh, no doubt.
More independent because, the professors are not going to be running around saying, don't you remember you got that paper due on such and such a day? Get on it. They're not going to be doing that, right? So, but perceptions every day, we have the opportunity to interpret. Where's my thing? Let me find it now. Make sure I'm saying it. Every day, we have an opportunity to regard, understand, or interpret something or someone that someone's done something. So make sure that we're listening, we're attentive, we're paying attention, and we're getting the right message.
Yeah.
Which is the reality.
The reality.
And I love this definition of reality here. That was in the article that I was just mentioning to you guys. No, this is a different one. Perception is Not Reality by Jim Taylor, PhD.
Okay.
And it says, the definition of reality is the world or the state of things as they actually exist. That is absolute. Existence that is absolute, self-sufficient, or objective, and not subject to human decisions or conventions. In other words, not subject to our own interpretation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Perception is not reality, but admittedly, perception can become a person's reality, which we talked about before, like with the example of schizophrenia, or if a person's running a high fever. Okay. Let me read the whole thing. Perception is not reality, but admittedly, perception can become a person's reality. There is a difference because perception has a potent influence on how we look at reality, how it affects the way we interact with other people, how we go about living and moving and navigating in life. Perception has such a high position in the way that we view things. So it's so important that we make sure that we're getting the right things. And here at the end of this particular article, he says, here are a few tips to keep in mind. Don't assume that your perceptions are reality.
Wow.
Okay. Perceptions are just your reality, but it might not be the reality, right? Be respectful of others' perceptions. They may be right. Sometimes people are right. You'd be like, like you in a courtroom arguing a case, but then you find out you were wrong. You got to be able to admit you were wrong. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm gonna hold myself accountable to that, and I'm gonna say I'm wrong, right? And here it says, don't hold your perceptions too tightly. They may be wrong. Admitting it takes courage. I just jumped right into that and didn't realize it. Recognize the distortions within you that may warp your perceptions. Seeing them will better ground your perception in reality than the other way around. So you got to recognize what are the things that have shaped you through your lifetime, the experiences, your environment. Growing up, maybe you didn't have a stable home or felt like your family was dysfunctional or something. So just recognize that, there are some things that affect the way that we view things and perceive things. So just make sure that we're checking ourselves, right?
Mhm.
Challenge your perspectives. Do they hold up under the microscope of reality? Okay. Make sure you do that. Seek out validation from experts or people that you know the truth. Don't just ask your friends, because more than likely they have the same perceptions as you do, and I like that. Be open to modifying your perceptions if you find out the truth and it's totally different than what you expected. Okay, those are some good tidbits of information. I love that. Perception is not reality. Just because you think something is reality doesn't make it reality, and it's kind of what we're going to end on tonight, right?
Right.
Anything else you think of you want to add, sir?
Wow.
Perception,
very educational right now with everything that's going on in the world. You know, with everything that's going on in the world, and we know it's going tipsy-turvy right now, especially with our government. The perception of what you see, what you hear on the news, how you interpret it, and it can really be a downer.
Yes.
You know, when you hear all this stuff that's going on in the world. Personally, I can't get too caught up in the news itself because it really depresses me.
Yeah, sometimes it can.
It can depress you. And so when you go through situations of sort, turn on some music. Turn on some music, flood your mind with some music. I look at a funny cartoon or something. I look at something silly, just to keep my mind off of what's going on in the world. But perception, that's serious. That's pretty good. I learned a lot today, and I'm hoping that you guys learned a lot.
I hope so too. That you got something out of it.
That you really got something out of the program, and out of this program that we give you, A New Day with Stanley and Renee. Again, we are privileged and we are honored to be with the fantastic Blast Radio family. Again, you guys tune in, please. And send out your comments. It's a lot of good things coming down the road from, even some situations, maybe it's a little Bible study. Bring a little word in. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord, everybody. And bring some music in that I'm going to be educating you on some of these things, especially some of the things that are coming down the road for songwriters.
Yeah.
I've been a musician, like I said, going on 38 years, writing for about, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Probably 20 something years. I done lost the count of
Probably
years.
Has been.
Yeah, but those things are coming down the road to educate you and to inform you, to enlighten you, and to inspire you and to uplift you, because that's what we're here for. But hey, it's been a great day with Stanley and Renee. And we hope and pray that we will see you down the road next week. Again, tell your friends and your family. We are on at 6 p.m. on every Sunday. And I know it's a lot of things going on, especially the game. But when you're winding down from it, please, check your boy and your girl out. Holla. We love you guys.
Love you guys. Have a great week.
Have a great week.